Hey guys, and welcome to Scatterplot Day. So a scatterplot is a graph that shows the relationship sorry for the noise between two sets of data. All right, and there are going to be three types of relationships that we can see with a scatter plot. Okay, we can see a positive relationship, which if we have a graph, all right, my x and my y, I'll go ahead and put x and y, and if we have a set of dots that kind of look like this, and because we read graphs left to right, our trend is going up, so that is going to be a positive relationship because it kind of looks like a positive linear relationship. Alrighty? A negative relationship, let me go ahead and draw this, is going to be if we have a set of dots, set of data, and it looks something like that. When we read left to right, our slope is going down. Okay, so that's going to be negative. And then finally, if we have no relationship, our dots are going to be all over the place. It's not going to be positive or negative. Okay, so let's make sure that we kind of understand this using words. Alrighty, so we're going to determine the type of relationship most likely shown by our data. And we are comparing the size of a home versus the size of its lot. Well, the lot size is the yard, okay? So that's what I want you to think about. So you can have a very small house with a very big yard, or you could have a small house with a medium-sized yard, or a small house with a very small yard. Or you could have a big house with absolutely no yard, a big house with kind of a yard, a big house with a huge yard. So there really is no relationship here, because just because you have a big house doesn't mean that we can say anything about the type of yard it might have. Okay? So now, number of passengers on a plane versus the number of suitcases. Well, typically, when you get on an airplane, you have at least one suitcase. So, in theory at least, the more passengers on a plane, the more suitcases. And the less passengers on the plane, the less amount of suitcases. So, that would be a positive relationship. And for our last one, the number of days into fall versus the number of leaves on the tree. Well, as we get further and further into fall, more and more leaves fall off the tree. So that means that the number of leaves on the tree is going to decline. So as we get further into fall, the number of leaves on the tree descend. So this is going to be a negative relationship. Alrighty. So we can also look at our relationships as being strong and weak. And this is going to be easiest to see when we start graphing. So a strong relationship is when our dots are going to be really close together. Okay, so let me give you a better example. So strong, going to be right here, and they are very close together. You see that? All right. And then a weak relationship is going to be where the dots are further apart, but it still is kind of a positive relationship. Okay? So you might see strong and weak later, so I just want to make sure that you guys see that. Alrighty. So now we are going to draw our own scatter plots, and we are going to identify the relationship. Okie doke. Alrighty. So this is going to be the number of hours a student studied for a test and their grade. Alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead and do the scale. So I'm checking out the hours, and so I'm going to go by ones. I don't know about you guys, but drawing the scale is probably the worst part about graphs. Alrighty, and then grades, I think I'm going to go by tens. Yeah, definitely going to go by tens. Make sure your pencils are super sharpened for this, because otherwise it's kind of hard to... I don't think anybody's going to get 120 on a test, but you never know. It could happen, I guess. Alrighty, and so now we are just going to graph these points. Alrighty, so 3 hours and 80. So I'm going to go to 3, and I'm going to go up to 80. Okay. And then they studied 5 hours and got a 90. Very good. That's a nice grade. I like that grade. Studied for 2 hours, got a 45. Well, that sucks. All right, and studied for 6 hours, got an 85. They must have been making a TikTok of their studying instead of actually studying. And then 8 hours, got a 95. 1 hour, got a 55. Ouch. 2 hours, got a 60. That's about right. 7 hours, got a 100. Oh, I know who that was. And 4 hours, got a 75. All right, so that's how you graph a scatter plot. And if you look at our trend, which way the dots are going, I mean, if we read our graph left to right, which is what we're supposed to be doing, then you can see that this is a positive relationship. So you might want to say the more hours you study for a test, the higher your grade will be. Oh my gosh, what a revelation! Who could have ever guessed that studying for a math test would lead to a higher grade? Wow! You know I love you guys. Alrighty. So, our next problem is going to be the number of hours a person spent in the mall and the amount of money they spent. Okay, so first thing we need to do is to go ahead and draw our scale. And our scale are the numbers, just so you guys know what I'm talking about when I say scale. Alright, so I'm going to go by ones again. Alrighty, and then I think I'm going to go by tens again. Alrighty, here we go. So, in a mall, person spent 1 hour in the mall and spent $40. Ouch. And then a person spent 8 hours in the mall and spent $25. What were they doing in the mall for 8 hours? Goodness. And 7 hours and spent $30. What were they doing in the mall for 7 hours? 5 hours in the mall, spent $70. That's not horrible. 9 hours in the mall. Goodness gracious. I don't even think there's enough to do in the mall for 9 hours. And they spent $95. I think I would go crazy if I spent 9 hours in the mall. Anyway, 2 hours, spent $40. 3 hours, spent $115. Youch, I would not want to be that person. And then 5 hours in the mall, spent $15. They must have gone to the movies or something. Alrighty, so if you look here, I mean, we don't really have a positive or negative relationship. That must mean that we have no relationship. So this is going to be none. Also, I want you to compare these two graphs. So look at how close these dots are. So this would be a strong relationship, okay? And while there is no strong or weak for no relationship, you can see how far apart these dots are. So if there was a relationship that was weak, this is what it would look like with the dots being spread apart, okay? Alrighty, next page. So more of the same. Percent of a household in a city with a landline telephone. Alrighty, so the year is 2000. Alrighty, so I am going to do, I think I'm going to go by twos. So this is going to be 02, 04, 08, 10, 12, or maybe I should have, that's fine, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. All right, good enough. I forgot year 6. That's what happened. Holy cow. Sorry, guys. Miss Johnson has lost her mind, apparently. All right, 02, 04, 06, 10, 12, 14, 16. And I forgot 08. Wow, I have really lost my mind. It's fine. 08, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. All right, we're just going to pretend that none of that happened. Alrighty, and then we'll go by tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. All right, now I'm going to stop at 100. Okie dokie. So in 2000, which is going to be our initial value, which is going to be on the x, which is going to be on the y-axis, 84% had a landline. So that's going to be roughly right here. Okay. And then in 2002, 80%. And then 2004, 73%. So in case you guys don't know, a landline was a telephone that was not a cell phone. You plugged it into the wall and it just stayed there. And when people wanted to call you, they would call your house phone, your landline. So anyway, but with the invention of cell phones, the number of landlines slowly decreased because they were no longer needed because everybody had a cell phone. Man, you guys will never know the terror of trying to call a friend or a crush and having their mom pick up. Anyway, so where was I? 73. All right, 2006 is going to be 68. 2008 is going to be 65. 2010, 55%. 2012, 51. 2014, 47. 2016 is 42. Alrighty, so I think it's pretty obvious that this is going to be a negative relationship. Okay, and this is a very strong relationship because it's very obvious that it's negative. Okay, whoops, sorry. There we go. Alrighty. So I think you guys can try 7, okay, because it is just plotting points and telling me if it's positive or negative. Okay, so we are going to move down to number 8, and you guys are going to read scatter plots. So a company's stock price since it launched in 2006 is shown below. What is the approximate stock price in 2015? So we're going to go down to our year, because stock price year, We're going to go to 2015. So this is 2006, 2008, 2010, 12, 14, 16. So that means that 15 is going to be in between 14 and 16. And here we go, right here. And so it's going to be approximately $22. And let's make sure dollars, cool, per share. Alrighty. In what year or years was the stock price $35 per share? So for that, we are going to go up to 35, which is right here. And we're going to follow it, and we have two dots here and here. So then we follow them down, and that's going to be 2010 and 2012. Okay. And then what's our relationship? It's going to be negative because it's going down. Stock price is going down, which is not a good thing for that stock. Alrighty. And then last one, and then we're done. Short notes today. Olivia bought a used car in April. Okay, so that means that right here is going to be April. The graph below shows the odometer reading each month after she bought the car. So the odometer tells you how many miles. Mileage the car drove. Okie doke. Alright, so approximately how many miles were on the car when she bought it? So that is going to be at our initial starting point, which is our y-axis. And that is going to be, that looks like 3 to me. But notice your units, it says thousands. Okay, it's going to be 3,000 miles, which is awesome. Okay, that is not a lot of miles. Most cars, when you buy a used car, they have at least 20,000. It's very hard to find a car with less than 20,000 miles on it. So that is very good. Alrighty. So then next, approximately how many miles were on the car in July? Well, remember we start in April, May, June, July. Okay. So that's right here. So that is probably, it's not quite 7. I'm going to say it is 6,800 miles, approximately. And you can guesstimate. If you put 690, or heck, even if you did put 7,000 miles, I would accept that. Alrighty. And then finally, in what month did the car reach 14,000 miles? So you would want to go up to 14, which is right here. And you would want to go down to here. Okay. So April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January. So in January, the car reached 14,000 miles. Very good, guys, and we're done.